What is up, everybody? My name is Clint Fletcher, also known as CALIWRX. This here is my 2014 Subaru WRX hatchback. This is going to be a quick update slash walk around video for all you guys that are new. For all you guys that do follow me, I'm just going to be going over the parts that have changed since the last motor build. If you guys want to see the previous motor build and most of the parts that are still on this car that I haven't changed, the links will be down below to my 500 wheel horsepower setup and like the 344 wheel horsepower setup. Right now this one is making 450 wheel horsepower at only 22 psi on a GTX 3071R turbo, which is nowhere near the capabilities, but we will go into why I chose that path. But once again, this will be kind of the new parts that I've thrown on the car, answering some of your guys' questions that a lot of you guys don't know, I guess, because I was gone for a while, so you guys thought maybe some of the same parts were on. But let's go ahead and move on to the motor, which is mainly what has changed from this car. Go ahead, open this up. The first thing you'll notice is how high the hood goes. So the first thing we changed out was the Grimmspeed hood struts. Moving on to the motor itself, the previous motor that I had in this car was a LIC pinned motor with Darton sleeves. So it was a robust motor, sleeved, built for 600, but we only made 500 on it. It was rocking the FP green turbo with the 8cm hot side, Grimmspeed top mount intercooler, E85, same thing. Instead of the Raceport blow-off valve, it was the Turbo Smart compact. But yeah, that motor was making 500 wheel horsepower on E85 with the FP green at around 24 psi. The only reason the motor went was because we did no oil at all. I had the OEM oil pan, no baffles. All I had was the AOS, so that was a big letdown. That motor lasted me one track day and decided to go, which huge bummer. But yeah, so now we're on a completely different block. It's still all the forged internals, manly rods, pistons, stuff like that, but we're on a stock case. So that's main reason why we're keeping this motor very conservative at 22 pounds. At 24 pounds of boost on this turbo, the GTX 3071R, we made around 480 wheel horsepower, but we tuned it back. For this track day coming up, 420 at Laguna Seca, I'm going to even tune it back probably to 20 psi just to make sure the motor is not being pushed super hard out of its capable range. We could easily touch 500 wheel horsepower on this stock case with the forged internals, easy, but I want this motor to last me more than one track day. So besides changing the motor out to a stock case with keeping the forged internals, we also switched over to a Cobb front mount intercooler. The reason being is because I will be installing very shortly a Killer B oil control valve, which will sit right there. And if we left the Grimmspeed top mount intercooler, it wouldn't be able to work. So we switched to the Cobb front mount intercooler, which will allow me to run that thing. We also switched to the Killer B oil pan, the Tomei baffles. We were gonna do the race AOS, but we left it at the competition. And that's mainly it that we've changed for the motor. There's nothing else. Oh, I did switch to speed density tune, which allows me to run the 100% atmospheric blow-off valve from Turbo Smart called the Raceport. But besides that, the motor is exactly the same. E85, same fuel setup, same radiator oil cooler combo, which is one of my top mods that I love. It's 3 inches thick. But if you guys have any questions, if you guys are new, hit the previous video for my 500 wheel setup, because that's the majority of what is in this same motor. But besides that, like what I just covered is what we have changed. I think these canards were not on the 500 build, so that the canards, the front splitter, those are all new. The Grimmspeed has changed, so I was just running the Fat House Fab up pipe, but we have switched to the Grimmspeed up tight excuse me, the Grimmspeed up pipe with the tile 44mm external wastegate. Also inside, what has changed is I no longer have my Hang on, let me turn the exposure for you guys. I no longer have my GTX, or not my GTX, my GT spec D-shaped steering wheel. I now have the Sparco steering wheel with the NRG short hub. Hopefully that was in focus, NRG short hub. We switched out the seats from the Sparco Evos. So now on this side I have the Sparco Pro Advanced. And on the passenger side is a Sparco Ergo. I also have a 5-point harness installed in this one. It also comes with the halo. Same fuel setup, half cage still by Auto Power. Show you guys the fuel setup. This is a surge tank with dual 450 Walbro pumps inside. Oh, we also switched to the I-wire kit, so that helps a lot more. I definitely think it makes me consume more E85. Here is the Sparco Ergo seat. Also the Loudpack Custom center console. All the gauges. But for the most part, that is all that has changed for this setup. I did trade bumpers with my friend, so now I have a bumper cut. And for this upcoming track day, I will not be running the Tomei because Laguna Seca has a sound limit, so I'll be running a sponsored exhaust sent out to me by Grimmspeed. It's called their Gentleman exhaust. I have video clips on that on my channel if you guys want to check that out. I will also be changing out the wheels for my track day to my what are they called? My Ambits with Hankook FZ, or no, I haven't ran them in so long that I forget the exact, like FZ 201s or something like that. Super sticky tires, 80 tread wear. My fender liner is getting eaten up. But yeah, that's mainly it. That's pretty much basics of what has changed to this car. If you guys have any questions at all, please drop it down below. It's making 450 wheel horsepower, around 440 wheel torque, 22 psi on E85. I know that's mainly what people like to hear, is how much power this car is pushing. Some questions I do think that are going to come up is, I am on the 6-speed swap because this is a WRX. So I have the STI 6-speed swap, I have the Brembo swap, I run 15W50 oil. What other questions might people ask? Yeah, I don't know. My gauge setup is oil pressure, AFR, boost, oil temp, and EGT. My phone mount, people might ask, is a Ram X mount. How is the visibility with halos? It absolutely sucks, so that's why I have a blind spot mirror. This is the Auto Power 4-point cage. I personally love it. It really helped stiffen up the chassis, especially on turns on the track. I could tell a big difference. It is bolt-in. The reason I did that was because I never knew if I was going to keep this long term, because welding is, you know, once you weld it in, you're fucking set for life. So I really wanted to do a full welded in cage, but I need more track time before I fully committed and sent it that way. What is the purpose of a surge tank? The purpose of a surge tank is basically to minimize fuel slosh so you never get it. There's always going to be fuel being sent to the motor, and then around 6-7 psi the second pump shoots and turns on and sends even more fuel, so you're constantly having a ton of fuel being sent to the motor. The reason we did this was because when we were doing the 500 wheel horsepower build, it actually was running out of fuel, and I basically ran the car out of fuel on the dyno trying to make more power. So not enough fuel is getting to the motor. But Adam at AA Motorworks did this. He is my mechanic. Those will be questions definitely people are going to ask. Who tuned your car? Well, it says it right there. Snail Performance. Who is my mechanic that I love to go to? It's right there. AA Motorworks, Adam. He's in Palo Alto, or I guess Mountain View. He is in, I don't remember the exact place he's in because they moved, but hit them up if you need any work done. He tunes, Travis tunes any car. Adam can basically do any work on any car as well. I did get rid of my wing that I had, you guys may remember. So now I have the stock wing. But yeah, I think that about covers it all. Once again, I said it before, but I'll say it again. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this little quick walk around and what has changed to the car. So I guess this would say, or I would say this is like my Cobb version 4.0 or something, because the first one was before E85, FP green, and now GTX 3071R. So stage 4 of this car. Hopefully it stays like this for a while. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.